The Savage Tide is the World Eater's advanced reaction. And I'm going to just talk a little bit about how to use it in this edition because it's a bit of a trick compared to some of the other ones. Now, it's a great reaction, especially on the surface, because it's an out-of-sequence charge, essentially. So if I have my unit here, I'm going to use Red Butchers as my example. It's an out-of-sequence charge in the enemy turn. So if they have a unit that shoots at my unit gets Feel No Pain against those shots, and then they get to make a charge. Now, it's not as good as the Imperial Fists one. It's not as good as the Space Wolf one. Those both have charges in the movement phase. So all you have to do is move in or out of their bubble, and they'll try to charge you. But for World Eaters, you have to actually shoot them first. So a smart opponent will only shoot at them with units that are outside of charge range. So if I'm here getting in the face of my enemy with the Red Butchers, my opponent, if they're smart here, they won't shoot with units that are close by. Maybe they'll shoot with units that are behind the units that are out front or that are farther away. That way, I can't use the reaction at all and charge you. So it's got quite more of a disadvantage that way, unfortunately. However, there are some things we can do to try and make this work better. So one thing would be to use movement reactions. World Eaters tend to get more movement reactions with their Warlord traits. I know personally, on my Praetor over here, I like to use the Blood Hunger Warlord trait, which gives him an extra wound for every model he kills, up to a maximum of 6. So he heals wounds the more he kills. But it also grants an extra movement reaction. Angron gives 3 movement reactions, but they all have to be advance reactions. So they have to be, you have to move towards the enemy with all of them. So we can still use that for these guys. So movement reaction, if you have anything moving around, within the bubble, use your advanced reaction to move the models closer and get closer to set up for that charge range. Another thing we can do is use, let me just grab it here, our trusty Dreadclaw. If you stick them in a Dreadclaw as a transport, the deep strikes, they can hop out. You can get right in the enemy's face. Okay. To try to move away when it comes to the opponent's turn, you can advance towards them and chase them down. And now you're so close in their face that your opponent's going to be very tempted to put everything they've got into that unit because they have to deal with it. They have to shoot it. It's such a massive threat being right in the enemy lines that they're going to try and shoot at it with everything they've got. And that's when you use your advanced reaction. So maybe the tank fires, maybe this unit fires first. You might have to choose carefully which units. Now, another way you can really maximize this is if there's terrain. Let's use this box here. Maybe the terrain favors you where the only units that can actually shoot them are ones that are close by. And they're going to want to shoot them to get every possible advantage in that case. Now, that is up to the opponent. We're basically trying to tempt our opponent to shoot at us. We're trying to make it as tempting as possible. This also works really well with Angron. But what we can do, if we have Angron, we got our Combi Melta Bodyguard here that we set up from before. I'll just put out those guys. I won't set every single one up. There's 8 of them. But yeah, so we land here. Combi Melta this thing. Maybe blow it up. Maybe do some damage. Boom. Tank gone. Okay. You know what? I think I will actually put the rest of them here. They just look so cool, guys. So, there we go. Angron, Bodyguard, Combi Melta the tank. And they can't charge because they got out of the Dreadclaw. But now in the opponent's turn, they're going to move around. Maybe they move away. Maybe they move closer. Maybe they want to try and get the charge first. I have to get the charge on these guys because if Angron charges me, I'm screwed. Right? So maybe they move, right? Or if they do move away, now you use your World Eater's Advance reaction to move closer. And now, this is another reason why I built these boarding shield guys like this, because they just have chain axes, combi meltas, and boarding shields. They are not super uber close combat guys, so that's even more tempting of a target to charge first. Oh, you know, like they have to deal with Angron the Primarch, but maybe they can stall him, maybe they can speed bump him. And because of this too, if anyone shoots this unit, I can now charge. So what'll happen is they'll declare they're shooting here because it's such a big unit, and they're probably not going to get through all those wounds even in close combat, so they have to shoot. I'm going to get 5 up, feel no pain for the reaction because you get 5 up, feel no pain when you declare this reaction on the unit. And then anything that survives, maybe I lose 1 or 2 dudes, I now charge. And like I said, these guys are okay in close combat. They have a good amount of attacks and they have chain axes. But Angron is going to do so much work. And with the combination of the Chosen Warriors, now that I'm charging in their turn, nothing else is shooting me, the enemy are in for a world of hurt. So it can really actually be a great reaction. I think the real great use of this reaction is mostly to make your opponent sweat. You really have to tempt them into shooting something that's close by, and do that by using movement reactions to get close to them.